I'll never forget the day my boss, Richard Sterling, laughed in my face and told me I'd never amount to anything because I grew up in a trailer park. He said it in front of the entire sales team during our Monday morning meeting in downtown Seattle. 32 people heard him mock where I came from, how I dressed, and why someone like me didn't belong at Sterling and Associates. What Richard didn't know was that I'd been planning something for 6 months, something that would turn his entire world upside down. My name is Jake Morrison. I'm 31 years old, and this is the story of how I went from being my boss's punching bag to becoming his actual boss, and watching him beg to keep the job he'd made miserable for me. I grew up in a mobile home park outside Tacoma, Washington. My mom worked 2 jobs, waitressing at Denny's and cleaning offices at night. Money was always tight, but Mom made sure I graduated high school and got into community college. I worked my way through University of Washington while stocking shelves at Target. That business degree cost me 4 years of 18-hour days. I was proud of it. I'd earned every credit. 2 years after graduation, I landed a job as a sales associate at Sterling and Associates, a commercial real estate firm in Seattle. Good company, major clients, room to grow. That's where I met Richard Sterling. Richard was 48, born into old Seattle money. His grandfather founded the company in 1952. Richard inherited his VP position, didn't earn it. Mercedes, designer suits, country club membership, the whole package. He hated me from day one. "Morrison, did you get that suit at a thrift store?" Richard announced during my first week, loud enough for everyone to hear. "We have standards here." I'd saved 2 months for that Men's Warehouse suit. "It's from Men's Warehouse, sir," I said quietly. "Ah, the I guarantee it guy," Richard said, making air quotes. "Well, I guarantee you need to dress better." People laughed. My face burned. It got worse. Fast. Richard mocked my 2008 Honda Civic with 180,000 miles. "Morrison parks his hoopty in the front row again. That's visitor parking, not for employees driving clunkers." He'd walk by the break room when I ate leftovers. "What's Morrison eating today? Food stamps cuisine?" He questioned my education constantly. Morrison went to community college first. Not exactly Harvard, but we have diversity here. The way he said diversity told you everything. But the worst part? Richard stole my work. I brought in Jensen Tech, a software company worth $200,000 in commission. I'd cold called them, built the relationship, closed the deal. At the company celebration, Richard stood up. "I'm proud to announce that my leadership brought Jensen Tech to Sterling and Associates." My name? Not mentioned once. I pulled him aside. "Richard, that was my client. My calls, my meetings, my work." Richard's eyes went cold. "You work for me, Morrison. Everything you do is under my leadership. Don't like it? There's the door. Good luck finding another firm that'll take someone from your background." That's when I realized Richard would never see me as anything but trailer trash. I'd never be good enough. So I stopped trying to earn his respect, and I started planning to take his job. My girlfriend Sarah was a corporate attorney. Over dinner, I told her everything. "Jake, that's a hostile work environment. You could sue," Sarah said. "I don't want to sue," I said. "I want to buy the company." Sarah nearly choked on her wine. "What?" Richard doesn't own Sterling and Associates. His family sold majority shares years ago. Pacific Ventures Investment Group owns 51%, and they're tired of Richard's mediocre leadership. I'd been building my own client portfolio on the side for 2 years. Nothing that violated my contract, just networking, making connections, building relationships. I'd also met Michael Torres, a venture capitalist, at a networking event. He was impressed by my hustle and my knowledge of Seattle's commercial real estate market. Over 6 months, we built a plan. Michael would provide $15 million capital. I'd provide industry expertise and client relationships. Together, we'd buy controlling interest from Pacific Ventures. When Michael approached them with our offer, including management changes and growth strategy, they jumped at it. The deal closed on a Friday in October. Michael Torres and I now controlled Sterling and Associates, but nobody at the company knew yet. That announcement would come Monday morning. I went to work Monday like normal. Parked my Honda in the front row. Wore my Men's Warehouse suit. Brought leftover spaghetti for lunch. Richard was ready to perform during the morning meeting. "Morrison, nice of you to join us," Richard said when I walked in 2 minutes late. "Long drive in that clunker? Ever think about getting a real car?" Nervous laughter. "Maybe when you make real money, you can afford decent transportation," Richard continued. "But when you come from a trailer park, you don't really understand professional standards." I stayed calm. "Actually, Richard, I do understand professional standards. That's why I'm about to make some changes." Richard frowned. "What are you talking about?" The conference room door opened. Michael Torres walked in with Patricia Hayes from Pacific Ventures and our attorney David Kim. "What's going on?" Richard demanded. Michael stepped forward. "Good morning, I'm Michael Torres. As of Friday, I became majority shareholder of Sterling and Associates, along with my business partner Jake Morrison." Silence. Total, complete silence. Richard's face drained of color. "What?" "Jake and I now own 51% of this company," Michael said. I stood and walked to the front, heart pounding, voice steady. "For 2 years, Richard, you've made my life here miserable. You mocked where I came from, insulted my car, my clothes, my education, took credit for my work. You created a hostile environment for anyone who didn't fit your idea of success." Richard couldn't speak. "I brought in 40% of this company's new business over the past 2 years. Jensen Tech, Morrison Developments, Chen Properties, Harbor Associates, all my clients, all presented to the board under your name." I dropped a folder on the table. "This is documentation of every client I brought in, every deal I closed, every dollar credited to your leadership. Michael and I showed this to Pacific Ventures. They were very interested." Patricia Hayes nodded. The board had serious concerns about management practices here. Richard found his voice. "This is insane. You're nobody. A kid from a trailer park who got lucky." "That's exactly the problem," Michael said. "Jake is one of the most talented people in Seattle commercial real estate. But you couldn't see past your prejudice. That's why you're no longer a fit for this organization." "You're firing me." Richard's voice cracked. "Effective immediately," I said. "We'll honor your contract. 2-month severance. But clear out your office today." Richard looked around desperately. Nobody spoke. "You can't do this. My grandfather founded this company." "Your family sold majority shares 15 years ago," David Kim said. "They retain 12% as minority shareholders. They've been notified. No legal grounds to contest." Richard's face turned red. He turned to me and his voice changed. Smaller, desperate. "Please, Jake, please. This job is all I have. The country club, my reputation, my network, it's all tied to this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for how I treated you. Just, please don't do this." There it was. The man who'd tormented me for 2 years was begging. I looked at him for a long moment. "Richard, you spent 2 years making me feel small because of where I came from. You never asked about my work ethic, my ideas, my dedication. You just saw someone beneath you, and you made sure I knew it every single day." "I'll change," Richard pleaded. "I'll be better. Please, Jake, I'm begging you." "I know you are. And that's the difference between us. When I needed help, you kicked me down. Now that you need help, I'm not going to destroy you. I'm not going to humiliate you. I'm just removing you from a position you never earned." I nodded to security waiting outside. 2 guards entered. "Gentlemen, please escort Mr. Sterling to his office," Michael said. Richard looked at me one last time, rage and desperation mixed together. Then security let him out. The door closed. Stunned silence. "I know this is a lot to process," I said, "but I didn't do this for revenge. I did this because Sterling and Associates can be better. We can value actual talent and hard work, not just connections and pedigree." Over 6 months, I restructured everything. Promoted overlooked talent. Changed commission structure to reward performance. Built a culture where ideas mattered more than background. Revenue increased 35% in the first year. We landed major clients Richard's network never could have reached. I bought a Tesla Model 3 eventually, not to impress anyone, because I wanted it and could afford it. Still brought lunch from home sometimes because Sarah's cooking was actually good. Sarah and I got engaged. She loved telling people at parties, "He bought the company just to fire his terrible boss. Most romantic thing ever." About a year later, I ran into Richard at a Starbucks in Bellevue. He looked tired, gained weight, khakis and a polo, not expensive suits. "Jake," he said, uncomfortable. "Richard." "I'm working for a small property management firm now. It's not much, but it pays bills." "That's good," I said. I meant it. I wanted to say, "I was an asshole to you. I was born into money and never had to work for anything. When I saw someone like you, someone who earned everything, it made me feel inadequate. So I tore you down." "I appreciate you saying that. For what it's worth, Sterling and Associates is doing really well under your leadership. You were always better at this. I was just too much of a snob to see it." "Thanks, Richard." We shook hands. Not forgiveness exactly, but closure. Here's what I learned from this whole experience. Success isn't determined by where you start. It's determined by the choices you make along the way. Richard had every advantage handed to him, but he wasted it on arrogance and entitlement. I had nothing but determination, and that made all the difference. Here's the second lesson I learned. The people who look down on you, mock where you came from, and constantly belittle others are usually hollow inside. They lack real skills, real talent, and real substance. That's why they tear others down, to feel superior, because deep down they know they're inadequate. They can't stand watching someone rise from nothing. Richard didn't mock me because I was beneath him. He mocked me because my success without privilege threatened everything he believed about himself. People who are truly confident in their abilities don't need to diminish others. They're too busy building their own legacy. Real strength isn't about making others feel small. It's about lifting people up and proving your worth through action, not words. Never let your pride make you cruel, because karma has a way of humbling the arrogant. The sweetest revenge isn't destroying someone who hurt you. It's becoming so successful that their opinion becomes meaningless. That's not just revenge. That's justice. And here's the most important lesson of all. Treat everyone with respect and dignity, not because of their current position or title, but simply because they're human beings who deserve it. If this story moved you, hit that like button. Share your favorite moment in the comments and subscribe for more stories that teach lessons about power, justice, and transformation.